Today I'm going to turn this curtain into a 4-inch basket, and I'll start by just ripping off the hem on each side. And this is a cotton fabric, so it's going to rip easily. You can always test the corner, make sure it's going to rip correctly. And then I'm going to measure out a 12-inch square. I'm making a 4-inch basket, so whatever your final size basket is going to be, you're just going to multiply that by 3. Okay, and then I found this. It's kind of like a robe. It's a cotton robe. I thought it was really pretty print. I'm going to use this for the lining. So again, just tearing off the hem and then cutting out a 12-inch square. So I have 2 12-inch squares when I finish here. Now I'm going to iron them flat, and because I tore them, they might be a little wonky in shape, but this is the time what it's called blocking, where you use heat and you go from the middle out and the top down and just iron it into that square shape. This works really well with natural fibers. Okay, and I'm going to put fusible interfacing on the back of both pieces. This will stiffen the fabric and make the basket a little sturdier. And we're using a medium weight fusible interfacing, the same one on both the outer fabric and the lining fabric. Now I'm going to measure out a 4-inch by 4-inch square at each corner, and I'm going to do this on both the outside fabric and the lining. Now that my squares are measured out, I will cut on those lines directly on the line. For both the exterior fabric and the lining. Now I'm going to fold it diagonally and pin the outer 2 edges in place on both the exterior and interior fabrics. Now I will stitch with a straight stitch, 1/8 inch seam allowance, locking my stitches at the beginning and end, which means just doing a couple stitches in reverse. I will do this for both pieces. Now I take my pins out sometimes if they are not completely perpendicular to the line of stitching. You may see me remove some pins, but not others. It's just me being overly cautious. Now if I open it and I fold to the other 2 diagonal edges, I'm going to do the same stitch, and I like to stitch from the fold to the raw edge. Now for this last seam, I'm going to leave a little bit of opening so that I can turn it once it's all stitched together. Turn it right side out, so being nice and square. There's that opening. I'm going to put it inside of the exterior fabric, and I'm going to pin at each of the 4 seams, matching up the seams with the exterior and lining fabrics. And for this part, I'm going to use the free arm on my sewing machine. Your machine may or may not have it, but I love using this for things like this, where I need to get a little bit more detail in there. Okay, so I'm just going to straight stitch seam all the way around, locking my stitches at the beginning and end. Trim off the extra thread, and now I can go to that little opening we left, and I can turn it right side out all the way, and then I want to push those corners out so they're nice and crisp, each of the 4 corners, and then I'm going to stitch up this opening. I'm just going to do a straight top stitch, locking my stitches at the beginning and end. You could do this by hand and really create a hidden stitch if you'd like, but it will be on the inside, so it won't be very visible. Now that we're all stitched up, I will put the lining to the inside, and I'll just pull out these edges and I'll press them in place. Now I'll go back to the machine using my free arm, and I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch down from the top edge all the way around, and your machine may need a little help getting over the seams because you have a double seam that you're top stitching. It just depends on how thick your fabric is. Okay, there we go. Looking cute. Okay, and this basket I'm going to use as a little sewing basket to put on the shelf with all the things that I need for sewing. What do you think?